Cubs are having a monster winter. Team looks stacked. Bregman's deal, 5 years, $175 million, full no trade.
Right now, the Cubs look like a very, very good team.
Ladies and gentlemen, it finally happened after months of rumors, months of waiting. One of the most drawn out free agency sagas we've seen in a while. Jeff Passan just dropped the bomb. Alex Bregman has agreed to a 5-year, $175 million contract with the Chicago Cubs. Wow. And let me tell you something. This is not just any signing. This is the Cubs making a statement. This is the Red Sox getting absolutely blindsided, and this could be exactly what Chicago needs to finally get back to where they were in 2016. But here's the thing, and I want you to stick around for this because it's important. There's so much more to this story than just the money. We're gonna break down what this means for the Cubs, why Boston just got punched in the gut, and whether or not Bregman can actually deliver what Chicago is paying for. Because, spoiler alert, there's some baggage that comes with this guy. But before we get into it today, guys, again, thank you so much for the support. We're on our way to 50K. Subscribe, keep those notifications turned on for your chance at an MLB official jersey. Put a jersey in the comments below what you guys would want if you won. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. All right, so let's get into the numbers here because this contract is interesting. 5 years, $175 million. So that works out to about $35 million per year, which by the way makes Bregman one of the highest paid third basemen in the game right now. Now, here's some context for you. Last offseason, Bregman was sitting out there on the market and the Detroit Tigers reportedly offered him a 6-year, $171.5 million deal. He turned that down. Then the Astros came around and offered him 6 years and $156 million, and he turned that down too. He ended up taking a 3-year deal with the Red Sox worth $120 million with opt-outs after each year, and he obviously did opt out after year 1. So think about this for a second. Bregman essentially bet on himself. He said, give me a short deal, let me prove I'm still that guy, and then I'll go get my real payday. And look, it kind of worked out, I guess, but in a way it didn't. I mean, like the Cubs deal at 5 years and 175, that's actually less total money than what Detroit offered him last year when they offered him 6 years. But Bregman is now 31 years old, turning 32 in March. So, I mean, teams aren't really giving 6 or 7 years to guys when they're that age. According to ESPN's reporting, there was a standoff this offseason between agents wanting long-term deals and teams not wanting to commit to aging players, and Bregman fit into that category despite the fact that he's one of the best third basemen in the game. Now let's talk about why this makes so much sense for Chicago, because the Cubs are in a really interesting spot right now. Last season, they won 92 games, made the playoffs, and they actually won a playoff series for the first time since 2017. But here's the problem, and this is huge, because they're about to lose Kyle Tucker. Remember, the Cubs gave up Isaac Paredes, Hayden Wesneski, and their 2024 first-round pick Cam Smith to get Tucker from the Astros. That was a massive trade, and Tucker was absolutely electric in the first half of the season, putting up numbers that had people talking MVP. He hit 266 with 22 home runs, 25 doubles, 25 steals, and 73 RBIs for the Cubs. But then the injuries came, a hairline fracture in his hand that got missed initially, then a calf strain that kept him out of the field in September and the playoffs. Yet now Tucker is seeking somewhere between $300 and $400 million in free agency, and the Cubs ownership, who have never signed anyone to a contract over $200 million, basically let him walk. So the Cubs needed to replace that production somehow, hence enter Alex Bregman. Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. The Cubs have this kid named Matt Shaw, who just finished his rookie season at third base, and his season had a bit of everything. In the first half, Shaw was struggling badly. He hit 198 with a 556 OPS, which isn't good at all. So they actually sent him back down to the minors in April after just 18 games because he was hitting 172 with 1 home run. Not exactly what you want from your starting third baseman. But then something clicked. After the All-Star break, Shaw came back and hit 258 with an 839 OPS. He crushed 11 home runs in just 186 at-bats. And this kid was a Gold Glove finalist at third base as a rookie. In total, he finished with a 3.1 WAR and 13 total home runs. So the question begs, like, why would the Cubs go out and spend $175 million on Bregman if they have a 24-year-old third baseman who just showed major improvement? Well, here's why. The 2026 season could be the end of a contention window for the Cubs. Ian Happ, Nico Horner, Jameson Taillon, Seiya Suzuki, Shota Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, a huge chunk of their core could walk after this season. They lost Tucker already. This might be their real last shot for a while. And Matt Shaw, as promising as he is still a kid figuring it out. He's not a proven winner. He's never been to the playoffs as a starter. The Cubs needed a veteran presence, and more importantly, they needed October experience, which is why Alex Bregman was the perfect signing for this situation. Alex Bregman is not just a good player. Alex Bregman is a proven October monster. In 102 into career postseason games, Bregman has hit 239 with 19 home runs and 55 RBIs. Now, I know 239 does not sound amazing, but context matters. He holds the record for most postseason home runs by a third baseman ever with 19. He has the most postseason RBIs by a third baseman in MLB history. He's got more World Series home runs than any third baseman in history with 6. This is a guy who hit a walk-off single off Kenley Jansen in Game 5 of the 2017 World Series. This is a guy who homered off of Chris Sale twice in the same series, when Sale was still terrifying, by the way. He was the 2018 All-Star Game MVP. He finished second in AL MVP voting in 2019 behind Mike Trout, and it was close, 355 points to 335. From 2017 to 2024, Bregman made the playoffs every single year with Houston. 8 straight trips to October, 4 World Series appearances, 2 championships. That is exactly the kind of guy you want in your clubhouse when you're trying to win. And look at his 2025 season with Boston. Even with the quad injury that cost him about 6 weeks, he still slashed 273, 360, 462 with 18 home runs. Before the injury, he was on fire, hitting 299 with a 938 OPS. He had the 9th best OPS in baseball before he got hurt. But here's what I really want to talk about. And this is the part where the Red Sox are going to be kicking themselves for a long, long time. Boston just lost way more than a third baseman. They lost a leader. And I'm not just saying that to sound dramatic. There was this moment during the 2025 season that really stuck with me. The Red Sox had just won a game. The whole clubhouse was celebrating, music blaring, guys going crazy. And where was Alex Bregman? He was in the corner with an iPad, sitting with Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, going over their at-bats, breaking down film, teaching. His locker in spring training was purposely put right next to Anthony, Meyer, and Christian Campbell so he could mentor them every single day. When the team had a 90-minute bus trip to Sarasota for a spring training game, most veterans stay home for those. Not Bregman. He asked Alex Cora if he could go on the bus with the young guys. He wanted to spend that time with them. Roman Anthony said it himself just yesterday at Fenway Fest. Quote, "I would love to have him back. I love Breggy. He was a huge part of my success and a lot of the young guys." And not only the young guys, but many of the guys in the clubhouse. The Red Sox haven't had that kind of leadership since JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, and Christian Vasquez left in 2022. 3 years without a true veteran presence guiding the young guys. And they finally had got it with Bregman, and now they just lost him. Alex Cora was asked about it today, and he basically threw up his hands and he said, quote, "The ball's in his court. Obviously, we've been working together to see what happens, but it's a different offseason for Alex." And here's what makes this even worse for Boston. The Red Sox are the only team in baseball that hasn't made a single big league free agent signing this entire offseason. Not one. And now their biggest target, the guy they reportedly made an aggressive offer to, just went to Chicago. Their CEO, Sam Kennedy, was out there saying, "It's still January, there's no deadline to sign free agents." But come on, man. The guy is now gone, and Boston's young core, those kids who were learning from Bregman every single day, now they're without a mentor or a veteran presence. So let's talk about what this Cubs roster looks like now and whether they can actually compete. You've got Dansby Swanson at shortstop, Nico Horner at second, and now Bregman at third. That is a rock solid infield defensively. Matt Shaw is probably going to move into a super utility role or potentially get traded for pitching, which the Cubs desperately need anyway. The outfield is still a question mark with Tucker gone. Seiya Suzuki will probably move to right. Pete Crow Armstrong is a stud in center, and they've got young guys like Owen Cassie and Kevin Alcantara pushing for playing time. But the real question to me is, can they beat the Dodgers with this addition? Can they beat the Phillies? Can they get through a 7-game series against a team like Atlanta or San Diego? Adding Bregman doesn't really make them favorites, but it definitely does make them dangerous. It gives them a guy who's been in those situations before, a guy who hit a walk-off in the World Series, a guy who does not shrink in October. And for a franchise that hasn't won a championship since 2016, hasn't won a playoff series since 2017 until this year, that matters. That postseason experience, that winner's mentality, that is what you're paying $175 million for. All right, so here's my take on all this. For the Cubs, this is a smart, aggressive move. Yes, it is risky to give a 31-year-old that kind of money, sure, but the Cubs are in a win now mode. Their window might only be open for another year or two with so many guys hitting free agency. You don't need to play it safe when you're trying to win championships. You go get the guy who's done it before. And Bregman has done it twice. He knows what it takes. He knows how to handle the pressure, and he's gonna bring that to a Cubs clubhouse that needs it badly. For the Red Sox, this is brutal. They had him. They had the relationship with Cora. They had the young guys buying in, and they let him walk. Boston's ownership has been criticized all offseason for not spending, and now their number one target just signed somewhere else. That has to suck. Now look, could this contract look bad in years 4 and 5? Sure. Bregman's not getting any younger, and history tells us that paying guys in their mid-30s big money can backfire. But the Cubs aren't paying him to be great in 2030. They're paying him to help them win in 2026 and 2027. And for that purpose, this makes all the sense in the world. So Alex Bregman is a Chicago Cub. The offseason just got a whole lot more interesting, and the NL Central just got a whole lot tougher. That's gonna do it for this one. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this signing? Are the Cubs legit contenders now? What is going on with the Red Sox? Is there any way they can salvage this? Will they even make the playoffs? I want to hear what you guys know. But that's all for today. I'll see you on the next one.